Hey everybody, just jumping on here to do sort of like a year-end um, sort of thing. So see if anyone pops in to chat on the thing. And hey everybody, how's it going? Just doing sort of a goodbye to 2021 and um, see what happens for 2022. Fucking fridge is so loud. How are you guys doing? What's up, Michael? And I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek to the season 3 theme music.
Welcome to Photography Chat with Merlin. Photography Chat with Merlin.
Yeah, welcome to the photography chat. I don't have a guest tonight. Um, just, you know, killing time before the end of the year. So if either of you want to jump on the chat for a minute, you're more than welcome. Let's see who's in here. I pulled John. Let's go with Michael. Hey, Sarah. What's up, big guy?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, just living the dream.
Yeah, same here. Quite exhausted. Got back from the shop and just taking it easy and seeing what's happening on Instagram.
How are things going at the shop?
It was a little bit of a quiet Christmas, but good. Getting organized. Uh, Planning on extending the retail space by about 40 feet. So, um, if it stays quiet, that will be my objective to complete.
Oh shit, that's exciting. So where are you going to get that space from?
Currently, the first floor behind the retail space right now is like a framing section, laminator, and like a vacuum press location. So we would just have to push all the machines, further towards the lab. So we got plenty of space to take up.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been keeping like fairly busy, even though the Christmas was quiet.
Yeah, I got plenty to do, a lot of cameras to sort through. Even since Reno, still going through all of those cameras from however long it's been since I was on your live chat. Uh, so
Oh
um,
yeah, that's
that's
right. You were doing the live from the
Penske truck.
yeah, that was right.
Yeah. Um, but next big purchase I have coming up is super exotic Nikon glass. Um, there's a gentleman that stopped in my shop a couple days ago, and he has, if you ever heard, it's a Nikon 300 millimeter f2,
No, I've never heard of
and
one of those.
it has it's called a Toshigi mount, which is basically you can set it up for like an Airy instead of a Nikon. So it's a very limited production. I think there's only about 23 of them made worldwide.
Oh shit, so it's a cinema lens then.
Yeah, it's a big giant cinema lens, and a lot of other oddballs like a Nikon Titan, uh, F3Ts, FM2T, a lot of interesting stuff. 8 millimeter uh, UV micro night core, um, another knock night core. So it's crazy stuff. So I might do a live chat or a live feed when I'm down there.
So I feel like Dan is joining us from a bar right now, and he's like, "I'm drunk as hell."
That's good.
So how'd you get hooked up with that?
Just a gentleman. We got published in like the local newspaper, and I'm not sure how far it spread. And he caught wind of it, and he's parting ways with his collection after many decades. Um, and so, he's at this moment ready to let loose and I guess move on to other hobbies.
Shit. Well, I mean, that's good for you.
Yeah, but it's going to be expensive. He had like the 300 millimeters, 400 millimeter, 500, 600, and 800 and 1200 millimeter lenses. So um, it's going to be a lot of bazookas.
So are you just going to resell them, or do you have plans for them?
There was a small part of me that wanted to do rentals, so I might do rentals on all of the film cameras that I have. um, which it's going to be a major undertaking, but roughly around 10,000 film cameras and about 8,000 lenses.
Holy shit, man. John says that he also has a large consignment of Nikon film gear that is about to hit his shop as well.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Dang. Do you think there's like there'd be enough interest for rentals out there?
Um, it's kind of a mixed bag because a lot of people are using this vintage glass for cine, adapting them, and it's amazing some of these lenses of what they're going for right now. Like I just sold a 21 millimeter f2 Zuiko lens. Uh, they've gone through the roof. I think on average they're selling for around $4,000. Uh,
Jesus.
and before that it was half that. I think some people are even asking on upwards of $6,000. Um, and then you have all the FD glass, and so these ones are the lenses you don't see too often, or people want to try out but don't have the budget for. I think that's going to become more of a reality. People are want to play around with these items, like they want to get them a Mia 6, but they don't want to pitch the money for it. And then they could take it for the weekend or take it on vacation and not have to be married to it.
Yeah, the Mamiyas are going for crazy money.
Yeah, was the one I just got is a 645 AFD, and just by chance I had a digital back for it, so I'll probably start to play around with that tomorrow.
Oh, it came with a digital back, or you just had one in stock?
I just had one. I didn't have a camera, so I was like a perfect match. But it's an older CMOST, I think it's called CMOST back, leaf back. So
Okay.
ancient, doesn't even have a LCD screen on the back. Um,
Oh, is it one? Do you have to like plug it into a computer to like have it dump?
Yeah, it would be like a Ethernet uh, connection. So you'd have to do a direct inline connect, which you're probably talking like 2004, 2006 era um, of technology.
That's wild. I mean, the older ones I remember, they were like just they were SCSI interfaces, so you had to like plug it straight into a computer, and you could only like fire it with a computer.
Oh yeah, it's maybe not Ethernet cable, maybe a FireWire or something like that. But it very bizarre. So if tomorrow's quiet, I might take that and also have like the Hasselblads. I picked up a large quantity of Hasselblads, and um, I think there was about 15 of them a couple of weeks ago. Um, and they had digital backs, which were the Phase 1 P21 and P25s. So I'll just nerd out tomorrow if it's quiet.
Well, it sounds like a way to spend the last day of the year.
Yeah, it's either that or people are just going to be buying Portra, because it's the last of Portra.
You have some Portra?
Oh, I have lots of it. I've probably maybe 400 rolls of 35, and in 120, uh, I think maybe
Holy shit!
100 rolls.
Do you keep it in a vault?
No, no, at the shop, it's a, a backstop that has a whole bunch of film. I have two fridges full of film, and um, I have all of the Ultramax and Gold, and more of the consumer grade stuff that will become professional prices 2022.
Yeah. What like how much is the price hike going to be? Like, have they given you notice of it or?
Roughly about 20%. Um,
Jesus Christ!
and that's global, uh, which you figure if it's $65 now, you're going to add another $13 on top. And most people will probably just kick it to about, was that $80 pro pack.
Fuck. American.
American, yeah.
So if it, yeah, so that's gonna be like $100 for a fucking pro pack of Portra in Canadian.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
They released pricing. I'm actually waiting for my supplier to give me an update on what it really looks like, but word on the street is 20%.
Well, I guess it shows the last time I bought a pro pack of Portra, it cost me like $58 Canadian. So it's it's been a minute.
Well, that's a good thing. It's at least that's a great price because I like even what 3 years ago it was
But
probably
that was right before the last price hike.
yeah.
So like I haven't bought Portra in a while because after the price hike I was just like
It gets intimidating, um, and that's also why like with the shop, offering $10 dev scans, like a lot of people are opting to develop their own stuff now. Um, but you figure $10 a roll, uh, high res, 3000 DPI. Um, yeah, it's hopefully people can either develop it themselves or go to their local labs and support them.
yeah. Um I've been shooting more lomography just because my wallet cries too much. My heart says Kodak, but my wallet says lomography.
Oh yeah, it's I just opened up a lomography dealership as well because knowing that people are gonna funnel away from Kodak and Fuji with these price hikes. Um,
Oh,
it,
did Fuji raise prices or just because they're killing all of their film?
yeah, I don't really care what Fuji does anymore. They're just setting across the board. Um, and it's kind of odd because I don't like I have big massive orders into Fuji and I'm not seeing it. And I don't know if that is another supply issue coming up. Uh, but it's another thing is like a lot of shops. I think somebody just mentioned that there's like a limit of how many rolls that you can buy. Um,
Yeah.
I get hit up all the time like where can I buy? I think I just put a post up that was like last day of $65 Portra. Um, and everybody wants to buy it online on my website, and I don't want to do it because, like, I had one person at one point buy 500 rolls, which is 100 pro packs, and they clearly don't need that much, but they're just hoarding it and taking advantage of the market. So,
Yeah.
uh, I don't sell any film on my website, and you have to call the shop. You have to go old school. So.
I did kind of go ape shit buying the Fuji Pro 400H when one of the stores here had a bunch of the 120, and they weren't limiting what you could buy. Like I didn't go super crazy, but I did spend a lot more than I thought I would. Yeah, and then it burns up really fast because I'm using it in a GW690 most of the time, and 8 shots at a time is not cheap.
Oh, and it's Yeah, once you go that wide angle, a lot of people have been asking for that camera, and I think it's kind of dried up. So we'll probably see price increases on them as well.
It's a great camera. I,
Oh,
I absolutely love it.
they don't stick around long. I think I just had somebody ask me for one today, and I'll get them, but they're starting to spike. And I'm actually surprised yet now that the Leica Barnack bodies haven't taken off yet. Um,
I've been seeing Barnacks going for really cheap.
yeah, they jump around. Like in the U.S., it's I guess $300 onwards. To about 1,000 depending on the lens that it has on it, and they're creeping up to 100-year-old camera, and especially for Leica, how many people own a 100-year-old Leica? Um, I'll have one in 2025, but that's the closest I have.
Oh, you've got one like on deck that's going to be coming in?
I have it in the shop right now. It's serial number 726, which is right outside of the uh, prototype production numbers.
Oh, so you're saying in 2025 it'll be turning 100?
Yes,
Okay. That's crazy to think, though.
but figure Leica has been mainly in production from 1923, 1924 um, on. Uh, so it'll be nice to say that I have one. Um, I just have to make it there.
It'll make it, I'm sure.
And it shoots like it was made yesterday, which is awesome. And um, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on that I've been reading. Uh, the price hikes is unfortunate, but um, I think there's going to be new stuff coming in or going on with archiving negatives and stuff. Um, Something that's a little bit more digital and a little bit more hands-on outside of just like copy stand work.
That's cool. Jeffrey says, good on you for stopping people from hoarding.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Totally
just
agree.
hard for everybody else. Everybody else wants it too. It's like the toilet paper during the beginning of the pandemic.
It's it was kind of like after the first lockdown in Toronto and like all the toilet paper shit went down. It was kind of funny because you could kind of see like when the next shit was going to hit the fan, when you would see all these people stocking up on like mad amounts of toilet paper, and you're like, is this wave two? Is
I'd like wait for fall and the leaves from the tree.
Yeah, and like, yeah, fuck. It's I I don't think we're gonna have a lockdown here in Vancouver, but everybody got Omicron for Christmas. It looks like.
Yeah, yeah. There was a little bit of a scare at our shop, and so I, kind of took a rapid test, which of course Omicron is not detected in the rapid test from what I hear.
No,
Um, and so I'm clear for now, but every day I've been taking rapids just for, peace of mind. And, but yeah, it's definitely crazy here right now. And I didn't do anything for Christmas. It was quite quiet and boring, and which is not a bad thing either. So he says, does someone know where I can get my Rolleiflex T repaired? Yeah, we do that repair. Um, right now I have three of them on the repair bench.
there's also a dude asking about Alpa cameras,
Alpha repair, or
or just Alpa cameras, I think, to purchase.
yeah, I have two Alphas at the shop. I have an Alpha 9D. I think it's on the website, Retrophoto Reading or retrophotoreading.com. Um, I think it's an Alpha 9D with a retro focus on the new R11. And then the other one is um, an Alpha Almia, which is an earlier series. And that one has, surprisingly enough, an adapter with a Helios lens on it. So it's
Crazy.
Alpha M42.
Well, if Ken's still on the chat, there you go. You can get your Alpa hookup, um, a retro photo.
Yep.
Sorry.
So
That's
what?
cool, man.
So what's new with your live feed? I know that I heard the audio that you're doing, which is that's cool.
Yeah, so for season 3, I decided to like dump some money into the thing that makes me no money. um, but I had a few people being like, "Is there a way that you could improve the audio quality at all?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think so because it's just I do it through Instagram." But then a bud that's into podcasting and stuff put me onto this Zoom PodTrack device. Um, it's a little tiny um, audio interface that has like 4 mic inputs. You can also have a USB-C audio input output, which is hooked up to my iPad right now. And I have this like boom mic
Hmm.
here that's just like lurking in the corner of the screen.
You should get like
Um,
a what are those things like a sock, to
oh,
put on.
like the yeah, I don't think I'm close enough to it, but maybe it'll make me look more professional if I get that. And the thing that's kind of cool with the PodTrack though is it records audio on it. So for uploading into the podcasts, I can just take audio straight out of this instead of doing that convoluted shit show that I do right now with down like stealing my Instagram videos from Instagram and then uploading that into YouTube and then extracting an MP3 from that, which is how I've uploaded all the podcasts so far.
Yeah, just burn.
So this will streamline that part a little bit, but then it also has sound pads, so I can do that intro track that I played, and then could also do like
That's awesome.
or
Nice.
it's
Have like
the little things.
a sizer on it or whatever.
It's just like a little. It's just got 4 sound pads, and you can program sounds into it,
Oh, nice.
um, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I picked that up, and then also got a couple of these little Rode wireless microphone things.
Oh yeah,
These are pretty cool for just being on the go kind of thing. And so I've got 2 of those because I have a guest that I'm going to be interviewing live, and so when I do the chat with him, we can be both mic'd up and have good audio for that. So,
do we know the live person?
oh, sorry, excuse me. His name is Henry Robideau,
Hmm.
and Henry is a photographer from the Vancouver area, and he's been shooting for just decades. He used to be homies with Fred Herzog and Robert Frank, and those kind of guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he taught photography at Emily Carr for several years. I think from like the late '80s, early '90s until 2015. He
Mm.
was one of the photography teachers there. He's a really interesting cat. Take, Big Head Taco, introduced me to him, and we've become good pals. And was supposed to do the interview with him a couple weeks ago, right around my birthday, but I was feeling sick
Yeah.
and thought I might have had the Rona, so canceled that. Went and got a test, and then isolated at home until I got my test results, which luckily were negative, but still sucked. It was just a really bad cold, which I understand have been going around a lot. So yeah, that's part of what's new for next year. And then I'm also getting a studio space.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um, yeah, there's an old motel here in Vancouver that is been shut down, but there's a group that talks to property developers that have these like properties that they've purchased that um, are slated to be destroyed, but because of waiting for certain things and permits, things like that, um, they're not going to go away immediately. So, like a lot of these development projects, you just see these buildings languishing for years.
Mhm.
Um, so, this group has talked to the property developers that bought this old motel here in Vancouver and leased the property from them, and they're turning it into an artist's lodge. So, it's like 70 units, I think they have in there that are available, and the rent is like super reasonable. So I get the keys for that tomorrow,
Oh, that's
and
well. Congrats.
then yeah, thanks. And then it's the well, I feel like it's going to be a bit of a long process because I'm going to be doing it by myself because thanks Omicron. But I gotta rip the carpet out of it and
Oh
kind
yeah.
of see that if that carpet could speak, I'd probably rip my ears off. Um, so yeah, I want to rip the carpet out, just paint everything white, floors, walls, everything white. Build in some backdrop stuff there, and then I want to build a dark room in the bathroom. So build something. I'm not allowed to take the tub out, but I can build on top of it. So
Yeah.
just gonna build something there to set up my enlarger and have a couple of dev trays and yeah, so that'll probably be where once I get it all like torn apart and painted and built up and shit, that'll probably be where I'll do my chats.
Oh, nice. Hey,
Yeah,
it's definitely a start, and it's it's great that you have the opportunity to take advantage of it.
yeah, it'll be nice. And it's like I live in a basement studio apartment right now, and I work from home, so it's starting to feel a little bit like a cell at times.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to have another space I could go and fuck off to when the walls start closing in here.
Yeah, no, I get that feeling. I think during uh, the pandemic and lockdown here or whatever it was, I don't know, maybe 3 months or whatever that we were in lockdown, which was shitty, but it gave me the time to list all those camera parts at Camera Center of York's website, which I looked at it today and I'm like, how the hell did I sit there for so long and like, go through the details day in and day out? But
Because COVID.
yeah, it just did shit I wouldn't regularly do. So
Yeah, it's given us so much and it's taken so much away.
yeah,
Like I was really hoping to be able to go to Polacon Bay Area in March, and I do not think that's going to be a thing
well,
for me at least.
at least I guess Canada opened up the borders briefly. You know, that's it.
Well, and the borders are still open, so they haven't closed the borders down, but they went from requiring a negative test within 72 hours to requiring it within 24 hours. And when I looked at what it would cost on both sides of the trip to get a guaranteed test in that time frame, um, it was almost as much as I was going to spend on the flights and my hostel stay. Like it was a couple $100 shy of that, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" Like I can't. It's not economically feasible to make the trip if that's what it's gonna fucking cost. Like, yeah,
Then make it easy.
no, it doesn't. Like at least within the country, you guys don't have those limitations. So it's like all the Polo Pals will be able to make their way to San Francisco, but coming
Yeah,
over the border is just not
I think the only
not a thing.
I think the only state that I guess requires a very strict testing, I think, is Hawaii, just due to you get stuck on an island with a bunch of COVID cases. It's like a petri dish.
Yeah, well, and you're flying into like it's still in the U.S., but like you're technically flying into another country because it's a
Right.
completely different landmass,
Yeah.
and so they're like, get away from us. Especially with like the transmission rate of this like fucking new asshole on the block. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
it's
still
a
amazed.
magical time.
Even at the shop, like people coming in, and they're like it's a choice to wear a mask. Like,
Oh,
maybe
it's still a choice there.
some people
So,
just they're not wearing it, and I have like a stack of masks, at the front door. Like, if you refuse to like wear a mask, you don't come in. Just I respect the customer. I respect my family too. So, uh, yeah, it's kind of
well, and I mean, like that's really what it boils down to is just respecting other people.
mhm,
Like it's a I don't even have the right word for it, but it's been disheartening to see how easy it is for so many people to not give a shit about people in general.
yeah.
And yeah, have you watched that Netflix movie Don't Look Up yet?
No, no, I haven't. I'll have to.
It's a good one, but it's also it's a little too real, and yeah, like they really nailed it with just like human behavior and all of that. Um, and yeah, it was good. The actors were fantastic. Like yeah, the writing and the acting was it was great. Like you'll enjoy it, but you'll also be like, oh, people, what the fuck?
Well, it's bizarre because like you think about like at least here in the States, like individuals would have the choice to get like the flu vaccine, and they have them at CVS, and people would go willy nilly just go get the freaking vaccine, before COVID, and now because people are saying you should get the COVID vaccine, it's like we're taking all their rights away, and it's in reality all these vaccines, these boosters and stuff that we would take, as you know, younger adults. Um, it was it was a choice, but nobody felt violated. And now that actual thing, they feel like their rights are being taken away, which is utter bullshit.
Well, and like some of them were a choice for sure, but I don't know what it was like in the States, but like when I was a kid, there were a ton of mandatory vaccines that we had to get if we wanted to be in public school and
Yeah,
all this stuff. And it's like, you know, I don't remember any of it because I was too young to consent to that, but my parents signed off on all that stuff. And like, most people of my vintage have like a vaccination history of that kind of stuff where it's just like to be in that place, you had to do these things. That was just how it worked. And now people are like, oh my God, no.
right. It, it's no different. It's just that something more real and more apparent. And I think a lot of people, family members, people that got COVID, the ones that didn't get vaccinated or the ones that got more sick, that showed the worst of it and weren't believers and are now believers because it sucks so bad for them. And unfortunate reality of
Well, it is an unfortunate reality, and like that's something that's also been driving me crazy with the Omicron stuff. Is like those initial reports from South Africa that it's milder. People are like, oh, it's milder, so it's not as big of a deal, and it's like, oh, even though it's milder, yeah, okay, that's cool, but it's way more infectious. So even though it's milder, you're going to end up with more people getting sick, which most of them are going to make their way to a hospital because, a lot of us are big babies when we get sick.
uh,
So, yeah. So it's like, that's even worse than Delta because, like, now you're having like 4 or 5 times more people possibly going into hospitals, clogging it up, which is going to put things at risk for what if there's a bad car accident in the area that you live in, or someone has a heart attack, or in the States, school shootings or whatever. Like, that's less hospital beds for um, serious things that are not preventable because, like, no one can be like, I don't want to get in an accident today because I don't want to take up a hospital bed, or it's like, I don't want to have a heart attack today because I feel like that would just be a bane on the healthcare system versus like I'm not going to get the shot because I don't know what they put in it, but pass those that plate of drugs over there because I don't
Well,
want to forget this whole COVID thing.
and that's the thing with the states is because we have to pay for our insurance and all that stuff. I think what Canada's taken care of, right?
Yeah, so it's a universal healthcare system.
Right.
Whereas like we could go to the hospitals, we don't necessarily get like nabbed for a bill and whatnot with it. Um, but sometimes it's not as quick. Like down there, if you have money, you have healthcare and you can get that kind of stuff. Here, it's like there are private options that are really expensive for people that have the money, but everyone else uses public healthcare, and it's like a get in line system. Like everyone's the same, no one's more special than the other. So it's like you have to go wait in a queue. And and during one of the waves when it was really bad, um, in Kamloops, which is where I lived for a while and where most of my family lives, they had people like dying in the lineups for emergency because they were waiting like tens of hours just in triage before they could even get in, and
Yeah.
they were just like dying in the wait line.
Well, and as backwards as that is, it's like, okay, well, if you clearly have COVID and you're waiting in line with everybody else, sure as hell everybody else around you is gonna get it because you're standing next to them. It's like, you
Yeah.
you think about like the Ebola scare and all that stuff, where like they would walk into like a shower basically with hazmat suits. Um, it's there's a different step and a different process with this, which of course that's a little bit extreme due to the mortality rate, but um, with what different healthcare systems it becoming political, um, I I think it's everybody's duty to get vaccinated. In my, of course, there's different. You can go into detail, and sometimes it's medical related, and sometimes it's just by choice or by personal choice, and I think that's great. But the more people that don't get vaccinated, the more that this sticks around, and it's becoming an endemic, which is just like the common flu, which was a stem off of it before.
Well, and like it's interesting too, where it's like they're finding that COVID, not only COVID but the pandemic, but so both COVID and the pandemic are making all of us stupider. It's create like if you get COVID, it can create brain fog, and then that like slows down your cognitive abilities. But
I
they're also finding that the pandemic itself is causing brain fog and cognitive deficiencies for all of us, which is kind of a wild thing. But then it makes sense when you hear these people and there's some of their fucking arguments out there where it's just like there's people at wall. Why would I get the vax when all the look at the numbers and there's all these vaxxed people that are catching it, and it's just like it doesn't stop it, you fucking cabbage. Like just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you are now immediately impervious to COVID. It just limits the possibility of you getting it, and then if you do get it, it minimizes how severe it will be. But it's not like here's a magical shot that means you're like fucking good and you can
you're super,
go like raw dog air with total strangers and not have stress about it.
yeah.
Like it's wild. And then people like, well, in the Spanish flu, and they compare it to that, and they like bringing up the Spanish flu now, and it's like, well, but what a lot of them don't realize is that they didn't have the science we have today during the Spanish flu. So um, if you got it, you just died. Like that was it, and that was how it worked. That was how herd immunity happened. Was because all of the people that couldn't survive died,
We have a choice.
and then
We have,
like we have a choice.
yeah.
There's an
It,
option. You can
it's
take
like
a thing.
a loaded gun and it's pointed at you. Either take the shot and you survive, or take your chances. And
Yeah, it's like if we're playing Russian roulette, and you get the vaccine. It's like Russian roulette with a revolver and only one bullet in it versus not getting the vax. It's like Russian roulette with a Glock.
right.
Like it's
Yeah, it's such a bizarre time, and I hope everybody good health, and
Same.
It's you know, the people that have taken the time to get vaccinated that are still getting, you know, either the Omicron or COVID, definitely less severe. Um, but then the people that are choosing not to get vaccinated, and those are the ones that are going to the hospital. So the people that have taken the time to get their shots, out of respect for others, may get COVID or may have a severe reaction or whatever it may be, and the beds that are then taken from the people that weren't responsible enough, people that did get the shots are now like, you know, the ones standing in line or the ones waiting for the beds, and you know, like they're doing their part. You know, I don't know if that's biased. I think everybody has their own right to a bed, but um,
Yeah,
it,
everyone should have a right to a bed, but it's just if there was a way that you could not do that and you can have that bed freed up for someone that didn't have a choice, um, that's something you should most definitely do. And just with how this thing is exploding, it I don't even really know how to feel about it anymore, honestly,
it's a
because
numbing.
it's just so wild.
It's
Like,
a numbing thing. Like I was thinking about this, and I'm like, you know, the nobody's talking about the actual back end of like take the virus out of the equation. A lot of people are sitting home, they're less exercise, they're eating more junk food. What the big killer is going to be is heart attacks. You know,
yeah,
give it like 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. You know, that's going to be the shit that is. It's like when there's a big giant snowstorm or something like that, and like, you know, people are stuck in their house, or there's, you know, they have babies, you know, like they, you know, after like, you know, the 9 months go by, there's like a big wave of, you know, that type of stuff going on. Anyway, um, yeah, I
well,
think,
and oh yeah, someone here says I have two unvaccinated employees out with COVID right now, and they're both shocked that they got it. I even offered $200 for them to get vaccinated, but they wouldn't do it. That is unbelievable. Like, what and like that's definitely a thing that contributes to it. Because like, fuck, I've noticed that I've gained some mass during
uh,
this time. Like, I have T-shirts now that fit a little bit tighter, and I was just like, fuck me, this sucks. Um, like that's definitely a thing that we haven't even seen what's going to come from that yet. And then like, here it's been a little crazy. Like, Ontario, the province that I used to live in, they've stopped testing. They were just like, if you feel sick, you probably have it. Just go home, because what's the point? In BC, where I'm living right now, they were just like, we've reached the capacity for PCR testing. If you feel sick, go home. You probably have it. Don't bother waiting in line to get a test. And it's just wild how many more people are getting sick from this. And then what I'm more afraid of is not necessarily the virus, but the financial implications that we've had yet to see from the last
yeah,
2 years going forward into however many more fucking years we have to deal with this shit. But that's what I'm more afraid of, because, you know, so many people now are like overextended, losing their jobs, like doing whatever it takes just to survive. And like that worries me for like people's mental health and suicide rates, and how that's going to like destroy families and shit in the years to come. And that's what I'm more afraid of than COVID, honestly, is like what the next years are going to look like.
yeah, it's, you know, there's, you know, every day is a blessing, and uh, you know, it's a win every day that everybody's here. Um, but you know, out of respect of others, you know, yeah, just get vaccinated. You
Just
know,
don't be a dick.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's important for, like, I look at it as like, you know, I have a family, I have a wife, I have a child. You know, like I think about like my child playing with another kid's another parent's child, and if that parent is not vaccinated, the likelihood of spread, my son then is inadvertently at a much higher risk, because somebody's choice is not to when they have all the ability to do so. And
Yeah.
uh, that sucks. And but you can't let a child be so guarded, and you can't hide them from the realities of um, you know day to day life.
No, you can't. So it's like you have to try and protect yourself for them like that. In BC, like the little kids still aren't. I think it's like 12 and up can get it now. I don't know if the younger kids can get it yet, but like my niece and nephew are they're both under 12.
Yeah, my
So
six.
my brother and his wife got vaxxed to protect them. Um, and then just kind of they let them sort of do their thing. Like they were still allowed to go back to school, and they don't want them to be scared of the world or anything like that. But they ended up. My nephew brought COVID home from school. There was an outbreak there, and it ripped through their whole family because he had it and needed to isolate at home, but he's a little guy, so he can't really take care of himself. So he still needs someone to take care of himself. And he's also a little bit of a plague monkey because one of the sickest times I've ever been sick was because of him when he was a baby, and I visited him and he gave me some fucking death plague that like it killed me for like a week. Um, so he's home sick with the COVID, and he's talking to his mom, and then he's like coughs right into her mouth.
That's it.
And she called the health line being like, I'm double vaccinated. My child who has COVID just coughed into my open mouth. And the
Um,
lady's like, you have COVID. Don't even bother getting tested. Like she's like, but I'm double vaxxed. And she's like, yeah, like the vax is made to like help you with like thousands of viral loads maybe, but like if he has it and he did, that's like millions of viral loads that just got dumped into you. So like just stay home.
just right in the dumpster. But uh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Something like that happens, but it's as simple. Like you think about children and like how innocent that they are. A simple sneeze like that, you figure out a classroom. Like my son was saying, he's like, oh yeah, one of my um, the other kids in my class. He's like, I was sitting at my desk and I look over and he's puking, like he just like full on puking, and he's I'm like, okay, well, you probably have it's like when you're at that close contact, kids are like a giant petri dish, anyways. They're in the firing line, and because there's not much safety in the way of vaccines. Um, right now in the U.S., they say 5 and older, um, you can get vaccinated, but still, it's like as a parent. There's a couple things that you got to look at where it's like, do I and that's another thing is like, do you, because your child isn't an adult, do you vaccinate them out of your own insecurities, or it's a tough call, even for us, like, I haven't gotten my son vaxxed because of the lack of detail or the lack of knowing what, he has a whole life ahead of him. So like for me, I think they said it was like, um, for any of the vaccinations now, they won't know any details until 50 years down the road.
Yeah.
So, where I'm at, like, if I make it there, I don't really give a shit. But, for my son being 5 or 6 years old, it's a reality. He's not even like would be considered a senior at that point. So, anyway, I guess
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about for sure. But Oscar had a question on long exposures, 5 minutes or more. Um, I mean, there's a lot to that question because it depends on like what kind of camera are you using, what kind of film are you using, when are you shooting? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? Like all those different variables will result in different answers to that question.
also like I know, what camera you're shooting. Are you digital or are you shooting film?
Yeah,
There's a ton of different questions, and with with what that format um, offers. But I would say 5 minute long exposures. There's a way to combat that. You can do density filters at nighttime if you're dealing with certain speeds of lenses. Um, of course, nighttime star. Of course, what is it? Canon came out. I think they call it like the 60DA. I'm sure they have a more modern version, but it was an astronomy version camera, which would then adjust for, I guess, aberrations or whatever. Um,
Oh, that's pretty cool. I never knew that.
yeah, I think it was called a 60DA. I think they had a 70DA, and they only make them in like small quantity just because of, you know, I guess the demand for it. Um, but yeah, 5 minute exposures. It's all about just exploring, your setup and exploring how the pictures turn. I would say bring a digital camera with you if you are shooting film, because that will give you a little bit of a cheat sheet to know that you're not blowing a roll. 5 minute exposures, and you have 24 exposures. You're gonna be there a while, and then to get your film back and have nothing on it would be
That's
sucky.
a little devastating when that
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. So
Nobody likes that.
no, no. Bring a digital camera, set it up on a tripod. You know, get a release or a intervalometer that then you could set. Time exposures.
Yeah, those are definitely good points. 5 minutes though, that's a long one.
Yeah, that's I think if you're shooting film, that's it's a chore. I'm sure there's information online if you're shooting like a certain film at a certain length of exposure at a certain time or a time of year. But full moon, not full moon, there's major factors in how that comes out. I used to take pictures of like lightning storms, where I would set the camera up on a tripod, a digital camera, uh, and you know, of course, adjust my exposures, do 30-second exposure. Um, you can also, with your lenses in manual, you could shoot them at like f16, f11, and that usually will hone in your depth, so you're not focusing on the tree in your backyard versus the sky.
Yeah, and I was just about to mention it, but John makes a good point. Reciprocity failure is a big thing that if you're shooting film for that long, you want to find out if the film you want to shoot with can even handle that long of an exposure
Yeah,
before you start getting into reciprocity failure with it. So um, definitely do your homework on your film if you're shooting film for those long distances. If you want to, if you don't know what reciprocity failure is, Grainy Days had a really good video going over his sort of take on reciprocity failure, and there's tons of other great resources online to teach you all about reciprocity failure.
yeah, no, that's definitely a valid point.
I wonder if we can have more people here. Just a sec. I'm gonna try something.
I'm all for it.
Okay. If you disappear, I'm sorry, but we're gonna see.
No, it's
Let's
cool.
see what happens. Oh, maybe.
Looks like it.
Oh, holy shit! Look at that. And
Hey
now
guys,
there's three.
how's it going?
Good.
I just figured I'd take a plunge and not be so shy, show my face. But yeah, I was just about to type up about the Grainy Days video, and you mentioned it. So, but I really love long exposures. That's what I've been getting into since September, and I just want to plug in that I personally love Pro Image 100. It works very, very well for long exposures, and it's cheap. So to
Oh shit.
yeah, I've taken quite a few. I've shared a couple as well. And I think at the time I was buying Pro Image in September, it was like about $50 Canadian a box. So you get five. It's like $10 a roll. Or if you have a if you know Downtown Camera, you get a discount as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Pro Image is such a great film too. Like a lot of people sleep on it, but it's a really cool film. I dig Pro Image, but I've never done long exposures with it.
Yeah, I'm really digging it too. There's a little joke with some of the photography guys in the community that I go out with for the nighttime stuff that I'm just a Pro Image guy now. Like that's if it's not Pro Image, I'm not shooting it. I'm a fanboy now, so
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great. Like I remember when Downtown Camera first got it in, they were like one of the first places to get it in North America. Like they were sourcing it from Europe, I think, because it was never intended for North American markets. It was made for the Asian and European markets.
yeah, that's right. I think the box still has like 3 different languages on it as well, and it looks like it's for the European market.
It's got pretty pictures on it too.
Yeah, when you see the photos, you think like you can take it to the studio and do like wedding photography and stuff with it. But it is like pretty much normal film, like Kodak Gold or Ultramax, just a 100 version.
And
I
then
did.
someone had a question here. For long exposure, you'd have to shoot at low ISO. Not necessarily. Like you can kind of use whatever ISO you want, really. It all depends on what your application is and what you're trying to do. Um, when I've done nighttime stuff, I like using the higher ISO stuff because you have a little bit more flexibility with it there. If you're maybe doing something in bright light, lower ISO would probably be a better idea so that you can soak in more of that light. But you don't necessarily have to do low ISO if you're doing long exposures. Now, if you're shooting a digital camera, maybe that would be a bit better, so you get less noise in the mix there. But if you're shooting film, it doesn't really matter. You just have to watch the reciprocity failure.
I could agree with that.
Who doesn't love digital noise in their images?
Purple greens, love it.
Yeah, I used to do a ton of like long exposure stuff when I got my D70, like, forever ago. And yeah, I had to watch out for the ISO with it because if I had it too high, then it would just be all fucking gross and staticky. HP5. Yeah, HP5 is great too. You can't go wrong with that. But I'm still a sucker for T-Max 3200. I love that shit.
It is really nice.
I,
On that one, maybe I could plug a question because I've heard from some other people just by word of mouth that it's better to shoot it at 800.
Well, so I guess like 800 is its native ISO, but I've tried shooting it at 800, and I've tried shooting it at 3200, I've tried shooting it at 1600, and I always kind of like it at 3200 because I like it when it's a bit grainier. Like that's it. If I'm shooting T-Max, that's what I'm going for because like I love like the graininess that you get out of it. If I want something different, then look at like Tri-X or HP5 or something like that. The Rollei 400 is also really good, and then the Rollei Paul and Reinhold shit, which is 640 ISO. That stuff's really fucking awesome. Like I've been shooting a ton of that stuff because Downtown Camera got a bunch of it. It's that like anniversary edition. It comes in the pack of 2, and that's been a really cool black and white. It's got a nice structure to it where it's not too grainy. Like it's still pretty sharp, but it's got a little bit of grain in there, so it gives you like that little bit of grit.
is there any film that it would compare to? I guess on the market.
It hasn't really reminded me of anything else. Like it has like a look onto its own.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I probably somewhere between like Tri-X and T-Max. It kind of sits. in that valley there between those two, because it's like you get that really nice fine grain with Tri-X, but then like sometimes you get that dirty grain with with the T Max, which is what I fucking love about like doing night photography with that T Max. You get that like that's just like dirty graininess to it that just adds like so much mood to the photos for nighttime stuff. The Rolly's kind of in a bit of the mix there, and you can all it'll go to like on the box it says. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So it apparently will go. The latitude is 320 to 1600, but I've always shot it at 640, and I've always liked it. That's
Okay.
the 100th anniversary edition, Paul and Reinhold, and it's cheap as heck. Like I think it's like $10 a roll, basically.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been shooting this over Kodak the last little bit, just because of the Kodak tax. Like I still have a lot of love for the T Max. This is my second to last roll. I purchased this when they did their price hike in 2019. That was the last time I bought Kodak film.
Well, I'm amazed how they think that, and I understand the price increases, to inflation, but you can't like have one year right after the other of price increases. It almost starts to feel like a price gouging due to the demand. Um,
Absolutely, it does feel like price gouging for sure. Like it's I don't know.
and also like you look at like Kodak as a whole with like their stocks. You know, there was like during the pandemic they spiked up to like $50-$60 a share. Because they were providing isopropyl alcohol for the pandemic when there was a shortage. Uh,
That's right.
so they ended up getting like 750 some $1 million. Their stock went through the roof, and ever since then it's been falling. And even now, I think it's at like 470 or something like that a share, which from $60, that's a big difference in such a short period of time. Um,
So what you're saying is now's the time to buy Kodak.
uh, well, I had it when it was $1.99 or like
Oh
$2. It was
shit!
the lowest that it ever was, and then once that grant hit from the government, it went up to like 40, 50, and it was stop action on the market, so it would hit like $25, and then they would freeze it on the stock market, and then it would then jump up to like $30 and $40 and go through another freeze. But it could be a good time to buy it. But history has it that Kodak likes to pump their stock. Like they were talking about doing like a cryptocurrency. Uh,
Yeah, for photographers, that
yeah,
would
yeah,
that
they
that
had,
shit made me
like
laugh when I
crypto
heard about
mining.
that one.
It was bizarre, and their stock went from like nothing to another spike. Uh, so
That was just some coke. There was some executive that was like doing way too much coke, hanging out with a crypto bro. That was like, guys, I know what's gonna save the company. I find, saying that I finally caved and started doing some crypto shit. But whatever.
yeah, well, crypto right now is weak. It's kind of alarming. NFTs, I can't get my head wrapped around. I think I'm an old man. Uh,
I think I got that issue too. I can't wrap my head around it either. But I can't remember if it was true with the stocks in Kodak. Like under the Trump administration, they had signed kind of like, hey, we're gonna give you guys some money because you guys are gonna switch some of your facilities to medical producing facilities, and then they just kind of bailed on it and they sold their stocks before everybody found out that they bailed on it, right? Wasn't that the story? Or
yeah,
because
there was a little bit of tampering uh,
yeah,
within the knowledge of these grants coming in and going out. Um,
Well, and the CEO was like homies with Trump too, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
that,
So I mean, there's a huge conflict of interest there.
yeah. Well, even you think during like COVID, it's like they had like a powwow meeting around a table, and it was like CVS and Rite Aid and Walgreens and all these people that, um, the CEOs of. So yeah, I'm sure Kodak was there somewhere.
Another
Fucking
interesting
Kodak.
theory I heard, and it's word of mouth theory, just like talking to random film photographers, was that the price of gasoline has something to do with the price of film because all plastic products are tied to crude oil, and the plastic canisters that the rolls come in is like a reason why the price of the manufacturing went up. So it's
Well,
just a
it's
theory.
not just the canisters either though. So like the film base itself comes from plastic. So like the S-Star film base that they create, it starts off as just little plastic pellets that they melt down and extrude in an insanely cool process. Like it's kind of fucking cool to watch, and it's amazing when you see the factory, because it's like they just start with these raw pellets on one end, and then on the other end it's the S-Star film base. It's kind of wild. So I can see that affecting the price. So it's like oil's going to affect cost of film for sure, and cost of silver. That will also affect film as well too, because they got to have silver to make the film work right. So that definitely has an effect on it. Um, Corporate greed also would have an effect on it too. Um, Sorry, was that Mike?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, you saw it with the grant, when they got the government money, agreed from the corporate level. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I was actually even having a conversation with somebody. This might be a little off cuff, but individuals that are like vegans that don't want to kill animals and all that stuff, and also like health, environmentally safe. Developing your film at home and dumping it down the drain is counterproductive.
Well, not only that, purchasing film is counterproductive because what's in film?
Right.
Moo cows is in film. Like there's this funny guy that works at Downtown Camera, the camera store that I used to use in Toronto all the time, and he would always tell me this story about how he got in a fight with a vegan that wanted vegan film, and he tried to explain to him that it's just like it's absolutely impossible. Like they've tried, and I think there are some films out there where they have like a non-animal binder for the emulsion, but like Kodak and Fuji and most of the big players, they experimented with it as well and just found that gelatin makes the best binder for the emulsion.
Yeah.
And there's no way to cut it. You need moo cows for film, and it's just a sad fact, I guess. Like so much so that like PETA and Greenpeace and all those organizations acknowledged the fact that they were harming animals to take pictures, but to get the quality pictures they wanted, that was the price that they had to pay. So, is it hypocritical? Absolutely. Like it's don't harm animals, but we're going to take pictures of proof of animal harm
Right.
while harming animals. Yeah. Not that I have problems with vegans or anything.
No, I same. It's just a bizarre thing. Like I look at it as like doing your at home developing. Most people are just dumping the shit down the drain, and the silver is even though it's so microscopic and you have to be doing some serious volume to want to keep it, but that's all going down in the waterways. Uh,
Yeah, like it's not ideal to be sending that down the waterways, but if you're doing like a couple rolls, it's not
it's not done. Yeah.
super duper harmful.
At my shop,
Like
I have a triple filtration system, for the recovery. So it goes through like a rotating drum, which has anodes and cathodes and electricity, to allow it to adhere to the drum. And then once it goes through that process, then it goes through another filtration system twice, and then from there, there's zero silver that escapes, which better for my pipes, I guess. But
well, not only better for your pipes, but good for your pocket too, because you get to pocket that silver as well.
Yeah, I actually was talking to a photographer, camera shop, and they did a lot of processing. And the one guy said he had like um, maybe like 100 pounds of silver, in the heyday of processing, and it was all just recovered from uh, rolls of film and paper prints.
Yeah, slush fund.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like when you're doing volume. Like I remember when the Darkroom Lab gave us a tour of their facility. They make a ton of money back on silver recovery, which is the volume that they run through there.
Oh yeah, it makes complete sense. If you're doing volume, that's a very important thing as an operating business. Um, but if there was a way to add home dev kit, I think they have like a steel wool bucket that you could dump stuff in, and I think something along those lines where it actually captures the silver, then you could dump it down the drain.
Hmm.
But it's
Let's look into that.
something small kit, I'm sure people would take advantage of it.
And a new log said that they're sourcing some Ferrania P30. Looks great on the sample photo. That is one of my favorite black and white films. Now, it is an unforgiving son of a bitch. So make sure you do your exposure good with it, because if you don't expose right, it sucks. And but if you nail it, holy shit! Like that is a really fucking gorgeous film. Like I think it has one of the highest silver contents of like any black and white film that's in production right now. And just the contrast that you get from it when you get your exposure right on the shots, it's stunning. Like just the darkest blacks I've ever seen from a black and white image. And yeah, like it's hard to describe. Like, but when you see what you're like, that's Ferrania. Like when you know the film, you're just like, yeah, that's definitely like a Ferrania shot. It's something else. It's a really great film. So I hope you enjoy it. If you've never shot it, for any other people out there, definitely recommend picking it up. Um, if you're in Canada, Downtown Camera has it sometimes. If you're in the States, do you carry it, Mike?
I don't. I'm trying to carry as much as possible, but I have to figure out with that Rolly film. I think there was a guy in Toronto that was carrying that, and I got to get a Gary Perry. I think that used to have the show in Toronto, or if he still does. Um, he was,
Maybe Abe knows who sells it.
I think Gary Perry. I think that's the guy that ran that show. He had some kind of in with it. So, and then I think in California there's an outfit as well that supplies it.
Yeah, if you want Ferrania in the States, I know for sure that Freestyle carries it.
Okay, well I'll have to get it because I'm trying to carry everything. Um, like right now, I think we have like $20,000 of film on hand at all times.
Nice.
So there won't be, there's no shortage of portrait right now for me. Um, but that's also why I'm like limiting people from buying like 1,000 rolls at a time. So
That's fair. You don't need people hoarding like that. Like it's that's also why I haven't bought film in so long, because I did hoard a bunch like years back, and I'm sort of just trying to get through the fucking shit that I bought.
have you ever shot the Scala film?
So yes, I have, but I've not gotten it fucking developed yet, because I just I need to send it to the DR5 Chrome guy,
Mhm.
and I just haven't yet. So I have two rolls of it I shot, because after I did the photo workshop with Jason Lee in Boston in 2018, he recommended the Scala stuff as like his all-time favorite black and white film. So I ordered a bunch of shit from Freestyle, I ordered 2 rolls of the Scala, shot them, and they've just been in my fucking fridge for like, what is it, 2018, 19, so like almost like 3 fucking years now. So
Yeah.
I just need to mail it to. I don't even know what's on the rolls anymore. It's been so long, but I know the Scala looks really fucking great because a bunch of his projects were shot on the Scala, and it looks really good.
Hmm. Yeah, I have a couple of rolls that needs to be scanned from a customer, and my machine scans, roll film E6, but um, it does not like the Scala. So I
Oh,
have to
crazy!
yeah, I have to flatbed it, unfortunately.
Have you looked at doing digital scanning over flatbed, like with the negative supply shit or anything? Would that be
It
better
might
than a flatbed, or?
Yeah, it might be an option. Like I'm actually even wondering, because I also do slide mounting and stuff. I'm wondering if I mount them, will well, of course, the machine will like it more, um, that they're mounted. But yeah, when you put it into the machine, because you say it's slide, it's actually looking for the negative on black and white. It just can't comprehend the positive black and white. So.
Oh, wild!
Yeah,
Huh?
because it's looking for the colors, which it almost like tries to make it a negative from the positive. It's so bizarre. But that's with the Activa D Lab, um, and what was it? Somebody said something. Will they make FP 100C again? Um,
No.
no, but what is that? That 3 pack that they have? The was
Oh,
it
the one instant.
like one in?
Yeah, I like it. So there's a lot of people that poo poo on it because they're like, well, it's an expired positive, and it's really expensive. It's like, yeah, it is an expired positive. Like they cut up pieces of positive from 20 by 24 film. It is a fresh neg though, and it's fresh developer that they've created. And it's also all made by hand by people
Right,
in the dark, which is
Mm.
why it's so fucking expensive
right.
because it's not machine made. Like, some person in Austria has to like sit in complete darkness and make that film so you can shoot it. Um, I dig it. It's a great film. Um, Otherwise, like if you want pack film, you can give all of your money to Brooklyn Film Camera whenever they find stuff.
Boards, yeah. And the thing is, it's when an individual controls the market, that's the price, and they know it, and that's why their prices are what they are. Um, it's yeah, I remember the packs being like $13 a pack, and um, that was great. But now it's like $100 a pack or more. And especially if you have the larger supply, you're going to charge whatever the hell you want, and people are just going to buy it. But yeah, I think the because they are doing the film by hand, um, more power to them. They're taking the opportunity, they're doing it, they're passionate about it. You look at Fuji nixing nixing their production. Clearly, there's major demand for it. I'm just blown away by the fact that they don't.
Well, this is what I heard about why Fuji killed it. It wasn't that they weren't making money because like the popularity is still very much there. Like there's money to be made with pack film, but there's more money in cosmetics.
Mhm.
And what I heard from some inside stuff that it could be speculation, it could be like people talking because they're like butthurt, but this is what I heard a few years back. Um, there's a podcast from like a Policon where I talked about it a little bit and said some really mean things towards the executives in Japan, but they looked at how much they could make off of pack film and how much they could make off of packaging cosmetics, and there was way more money to be made in packaging cosmetics. So the plant that made pack film was converted to package cosmetics, the staff that ran that plant were retrained and put other places, and the equipment that was in that factory was retooled to package cosmetics instead of making pack film. Um, and Fuji, being the dicks that they are, when um, Florian wanted to buy all of the IP to try and revive pack film, they basically told him to go pound sand,
Right.
which is why Instant is a single photo, because he's just like, well, if we can't make pack film, how can we make these cameras still work? So, like, it's expensive. The one Instant is a lot of money to spend for a single shot, but I also kind of look at it as like it's a really amazing privilege that we can still, once the pack film is all depleted, hopefully still be able to buy the one Instant to use these cameras that we love and adore, even if it does cost us more money to use them. Um, and then stuff like Newland, I'm really curious to see how that project goes, because that'd be cool to revive some of the pack film cameras. Like I just picked up another 195 so that when the Newland stuff comes out, I can have one that's just for pack film and one that's got the Newland back. So yeah, there's like some cool shit with that, but you know, the unfortunate truth is pack film is dead. Long live pack film.
Well,
And
looking at the idea, like okay, like when Fuji was making the film, it was $13. Now it's $100. You think that I don't know about cosmetics and meat,
what the problem is, they don't have the equipment anymore,
right?
and it's they don't have anyone that can make the equipment either. Like that was the same problem that Florian had when he was looking at rebuilding it, was they couldn't figure out how to pack the film the way that it used to be packed. And that's the thing that kind of sucks with the world we live in right now, is we have all these technological advancements and there's all this really cool shit that's going on, like technology wise. But when you look at like physical things, mechanical things, stuff like that, we've taken leaps backwards in a lot of that stuff, where it's just like things that were super basic that people could like wrap their minds around even 20 years ago don't really happen as much now. And so like all these people that knew how to build these machines and manage these machines and maintain them, are either too old to work or dead.
Right.
So you know, that's one problem. um, and then just also the know-how to do these things. Like it's the same reason why we likely won't see really cool new film cameras, is because the ability to make shutters for anything outside of its in production right now just doesn't exist anymore. And it's kind of weird to think that like we lost that kind of um, engineering skill. You know, well, meanwhile, there's all these other advancements going on, but a lot of that shit's all kind of theoretical stuff right now. Like, you know, you look at the DevOps craze, like most of the stuff that's with DevOps is just all ones and zeros. Like, you know, people
Right.
are building shit in virtual constructs, and the circuitry that runs that stuff doesn't require a lot of heavy engineering behind it. You know, it's just how do you make it smaller? How do you like there's not a lot of mechanical parts anymore. Like even when you look at like, you know, hard drives,
Yeah.
most of that shit's going solid state now. Like, you know, the amount of moving parts that are in things is dwindling. Like as we move towards electric cars, even the like mechanical parts that go into the vehicles we drive, those are starting to like, you know, diminish. And when you look even like the repair of cars right now, more often than not, they don't repair parts, they just exchange modules.
Right.
Send the modules off to get them like, you know, destroyed or recycled or whatever. So it's just like, you know, it's not an engine anymore, it's a power module. And it's
Well,
it's weird to think of how our world's evolving.
well, you think about like 3D printing and 3D technology. Being able to scan these parts, like they talk about, like the gearing and all that stuff. It can easily be done if you take apart an Olympus stylus. You can replicate a majority of the parts quite easily. But what it comes down to is the programming. Um,
Mm.
flex cables or the little chips, and that's the crazy part of these cameras. The little motors, of course, the motors you can pretty much buy anywhere, but you know those flex cables. I think somebody mentioned today that there's a place in Poland that repairs a lot of like the Hexar cameras, and they replicate or remake the flex cables, and just like for like the mini lux, where like the error with the lens coming in and out. I think it's like Arrow 02 or Arrow 07. I can't remember, but maybe it's 01. But uh, that particular little flex cable, like it doesn't make anymore, people are replicating it and able to repair the camera. If you can do that on a larger scale, like I think at the Camera Center of York website, I think I have a whole brand new stylus, like the whole circuit flex cable that surrounds the internal of the camera. If you could replicate that alone, you can make stylus cameras with one 3D printer. It's just each 3D printer would have to have its own, like one would print out 10 or 20 or 30 of a specific gear, and each one would
Yeah.
ask. There's no need to recreate the wheel, and Olympus is, MIA nowadays.
Well, in that, like a point and shoot versus like a SLR is totally different beasts too, though. So it's like I could see a stylus being a lot easier to build because it's not as complex. Like there's not as many mechanical things inside of that. It's like we could probably source a lot of those parts. So that seems totally reasonable, but I think like when I've talked with other people about this who've been in the industry for a while, their concerns are around the more mechanical parts, like shutter mechanisms for like SLRs and stuff like that. And I think the last Nikon was the last one making it with the F6, and they put that out of production in 2019.
That's because they,
there. What's that?
that's because they all started breaking.
Yeah. Well, and like people can fight me about this, but the F6 is really the F200. I don't believe it's a real F camera. It doesn't have a removable prism. It has the attachable bottom grip thing. A real F has the detachable prism, and it has the thing built into the bottom. So it's not the successor to the F5. The F5 is the reigning champ of the F cameras, in my humble opinion.
What I was thinking with off topic, but what I was thinking with Kodak is how they got so much shit for making a black and white disposable. If they would have just made their disposable camera look like an Olympus stylus that had a little sliding front, I think they would have, they wouldn't have gotten so much shit for it. Like mimicking what one would have looked like.
Well, that, or if they just made it reusable. Like if they made it reloadable, like the lomography one is, which it probably wouldn't have cost them that much more to just like make it plastic and you could open it and put it. I think that's where a lot more of the backlash has come from with it, is that it's a throwaway camera. Like if they had made it reusable, which they probably don't want to because they want to get that money back every time. Like they don't want to sell just one reusable camera. They want to sell someone like a disposable camera every time they want to shoot some Tri-X, and Tri-X is like some sweet film. So of course, people are going to jump on that bandwagon that is film and go nuts with the disposables. And I mean, even having fancy cameras, I still like the look that a disposable will put out there. Like it has a distinct kind of cool look with the disposable that you can't get if you're shooting like a proper camera. So they have their place for sure.
Yeah.
I on the topic of disposables, anytime I come across a disposable, like a used one, I always like get it off a garage sale and like develop the photos and see what comes out of it.
Mm.
And you'd be surprised
How much porn have you found on those?
last one was porn. But it was from my mechanic. He asked
It
me
was
about
from your
the camera.
mechanic. Oh no! So you saw your mechanic's porn.
Yeah, he didn't warn me about it. Anyway, so he changed a lug, a stud on one of the wheels on my sister's car for me.
I'm
And then
sure
he
he
said, like,
changed his
instead of
stud in a
paying-
few things. So
Anyways, I was gonna pay him, and then he's just like, you know what? Why don't you develop this for me? I heard you're doing film photography and stuff. I've had this camera forever. I want to see what's on it.
Ben says, "Me can dick."
But I don't know what I'm saying is I like the idea, the nostalgic feel of a not a point and shoot, sorry, a disposable gives you, because like those are the cameras that our parents first kind of trusted us with, right? Like when we were younger, and maybe
Absolutely, yeah.
that's the first one we could take on our field trip and not worry about, or when I was younger, it was always like, don't touch this camera, don't touch that, and I would always ask, like, can I touch it this time? And they were like, you know what, Johnny, here you go, here's a disposable, knock yourself out.
Yeah, you can break this one. We don't really care about this one because it's meant to go in the garbage anyway. So if you break it, it's fine. But there is a cool, like, it's like almost a little bit voyeuristic with it sometimes, like with the way the harsh flash is on some of them and stuff. And like there's a very different feel that you get with them that is kind of fun. Yeah, that's that's funny though. That
Yeah,
Ben says he sounds like a real stud himself.
No, they're great. What I liked about so I didn't know too much about cameras when I first got into it. So somebody I worked with gave me like a box of their old cameras, and one of them was an Olympus XA, I think. The kind of clamshell thing.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Those are cool, and what I really loved about that one is like the thumb thing made me think that this was a disposable camera, and I unloaded it to somebody for $20, and then later in life,
Oh no.
it was actually a cool camera, and you can choose the aperture and stuff, and like, because I didn't even know what aperture was back then. I was just like, oh, these pictures didn't show up great. I'll sell it to this person.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
They go for a ton now.
they do, but I feel like it's a bit risky, like picking up one, because I feel like they break pretty quickly. Like you get through about 20 rolls, and you don't know like how it's gonna hold up. At least like in my opinion, when I got the second one.
That's fair.
But I love the thumb crank. Like I don't know any other cameras. Like if somebody in the chat knows another camera with a thumb crank, just for my nostalgia, let me know.
I think there's a few of them out there that have it.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck. What is? I'm brain farting on it. I know of one, but I can't remember the name of it. Jeffrey says a disposable film camera was the first camera that he took a photo with, and he'll always have memories of using them as his first camera. Yeah, they're fun. Well, I appreciate you sharing your studly story on disposable cameras.
I had to.
Yeah, I always that's the same thing when I like go thrifting. I mean, it's been a couple years now since I've found a camera at a thrift store, but I would always get the film developed because, like, it's always interesting to see what kind of shit people just left to get thrown away. Never got anything spicy. Mostly just like it was like camping photos or family photos, and it's just like, who are these people?
Are really cool though. Like just seeing the little stories. Like on one of the rolls, it was like a picnic, and it was like this Italian gathering, and I think the first 5 photos didn't show because it was just like completely worn out. But like in the middle of the roll, the photos still came out with like a bluish hue, and it was just cool to see these pictures come back again.
Jaffo on film says, I have an Olympus Pen E3 half frame that has a thumb crank. So there you go. Half frame cameras. I don't like them.
Oh, it's
no offense. They're really cool, But my problem with the half frame camera is it takes me long enough to get through a roll of 36 that I bought a Samurai and I was super fucking stoked to play with half frame. And then it took me like fucking months to shoot through that roll of film. And I hate that camera now just because of that experience. Because every time I look at it, I was just like, you were a torturous little devil, you.
You gotta grab a 12 exposure roll, then it's a 24.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's
yeah,
fair.
smart.
Yeah.
I, a lot of people like pairing the pictures, right? Like they take a picture and then they get closer for the next frame and then they put it together on their posts like that. So that's another way to think about it. Like 36
Huh.
photos, you have two angles of the same subject or something like that.
I can still do that with my regular camera, though.
You
It's
know,
just, but
and it's
like the half frame is cool though. Like I do like the format of it, and it was neat. I just got frustrated with my experience of it because it just took me for fucking ever to blow through it, and it's just like, I mean, the what is it? The Samurai is a kind of cool camera though because it looks more like a camcorder than it does a camera. So people will be like, "Why are you making video?" I'm not. It's the 1980s, all up in this shit.
Yeah, I think
uh,
I just got one. I can't remember the model, like what was it, X 4.0 or 3.0, or um, it has like the little finger grip where you stick your finger through.
Yeah, because you hold it like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like everything is a diptych, not to be confused with the dick pic. Yeah, I've always wanted to like find out who the first gentleman that decided a dick pic would be a really good idea, who that was in history. And I was talking to a friend that's like researches history stuff, and it was like, well, it was even before pictures. People would send like paintings of their dicks to like people.
I think there's a Key and Peele skit exactly on that when they're in the ye old times and he has his servant um, sketch out a dick pic to send in the mail to the fair lady. So you could probably find that one. It's a good skit. It'll make you.
Ben says dick pic daguerreotype 1875. It's still not a good idea. It wasn't a good idea in 1875. It's definitely not a good idea going into 2022. Wieners are weird, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel the same way. If I were to like, get like a wild vag pic in my text message, I'd be like, "Whoa, what? No, no, ma'am." Like, it's all in like time and context and things like that. And it's just like if you're not prepared for it, it's a jarring experience. So is it 1907? Andre Stromson sent the first dick pic. I don't know if these are true facts. Microfiche. So that's a funny one. Meat Glacier here says some guys need microfiche. That's a
I'm not.
real blast from the past. Were
I,
you just gonna say you don't know what a microfiche is?
I have
I'm
one.
94, but yeah, somebody can fill me in. That'd be nice.
Okay, so microfiche was a way to store large amounts of data in a very small thing before computers were a thing.
Was it in the
So
library and you would go like kind of watch it
yeah,
on a projector? Okay, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you kind of you take the little thing and you put it in the projector and then you kind of like move it around to find the piece of information you want. Yeah, I'm old enough to remember actually having to use that shit in
They
school and stuff.
camera repairs, that was like a major way of showing how to repair a camera or a lens. I have thousands microfiche of Nikon lenses and Nikon cameras and all the exploded views, and you can, on one little 4x5 or 4x6 microfiche, you can show a full blown repair, just by using a microfiche device and go step by step. So it was, brilliant for its time. It was basically like a slide.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This is just the dick pic thing is reminding me of this like drunken idea that I had with a friend for a business idea, which was like, there's all these dick pics flying around, none of them are really tasteful. There's always like a really awkward angle, bad lighting, like, it's just fucking terrible. Now, what if you took like there's people that do like the LinkedIn profile pictures and things like that, right? What if you did that for dick pics? You could go and get like a tasteful dick pic done that has like good lighting and it's flattering, and like you could get different packages where you can like have like different accoutrement to like decorate around and like
Different.
really make it
Oh,
like fantastic. And then for the ladies you could have like an offshoot called like Bush League, where it's just like you could get like really tasteful like crotch shots, and you could probably make a lot of money. Like now,
There's got to be a market somewhere for it.
yeah, I've just never done it because I don't want to see that many dicks.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
but yeah, exactly. You could get different packages. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. You could have different packages for the packages, and you could get really creative. You could use like in Vegas when they do like the blue screens, so that you could be in like different places and things like that. Um, you know, you could do that with like your dick could be in like Paris. It could be like over here. You could have like walking your dog.
It's
It's
like the elf on the
Could
shelf.
be holding up the Leaning
yeah.
Tower pizza.
It could be the Leaning Tower of pizza. You could replace it with that. Like there's so many different things you could do, and it could just up your Tinder game a tiny little bit. It could help because like instead of just like some weird awkward like it's in you see you in the background because you didn't really get it right, and it's just you're trying to like take the shot while you're hiding from your wife because you don't want her to know that you're miserable or whatever. You could just go get a professional to do it for you. So
Oh,
anyone
I
can take that idea and run with it. So yeah, go for it.
think maybe you could, like, if you're trying to market it, I forgot what the profession's called.
Esthetician.
Esthetician. Yeah, maybe they could market it after you get your session done. Be
Well,
like,
so that was actually another idea with the packages, where it's like you could get a grooming package with it as well too. So they could get in there and they could like trim it up and manicure it so it looks all good. So it's like ready to go. You could get someone to do some makeup on there, get a little like powder on it so it looks like all right. No
cool.
happy endings, just happy photos. That's
Yeah,
it. And that's like that would be like the motto for the company. Like it's like
I feel like
yeah.
it's upfront disclaimer before somebody signs up for a package thinking it's
Exactly. The only thing you're getting out of it is photos and the potential to like instead of terrify someone, maybe just intrigue them a little bit. It could work, and it could work for everyone. Everyone can get crotch pictures of different kinds in a high quality kind of way with good lighting and like set makeup and all that kind of stuff. Why not?
maybe
No
like
discrimination.
yeah.
What's that?
I was gonna say maybe it could be, I forgot what the term is, but those big cameras, the 4x5s, and then they put it on the silver plates or something. Tiny.
Or that'll be the
I like that someone said bokeh balls. I like that one. Man, a tin type dick pic. Now
that lasts forever.
That's
that's
for
classic. That's see, like that's no longer you're like verging into like art at that point. Like if you
that's
like
true.
if someone were to like mail me a tin type dick, I would actually appreciate that. Because that's a lot of time and effort and
Yeah.
resources put
Well,
into that,
the lighting too, like the power of the
Yeah.
light. Like when it goes
Oh,
in the face, you feel the lights hit you, in the face when the flash goes off. So I guess you get some kind of result.
Someone's like, "What's your address?" I should get a post office box for the next season. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'll get a post office box, and if you want to mail tin type dick pics, check my bio in a couple of weeks, and there'll be a PO box in there for that. And like,
I can't believe we've turned sexting and dick pics into an analog format.
Talking about
You
this
know,
camera where this came from.
Yeah, this is.
started with the mechanic and the stud, and anyways, I enjoy the conversation, and uh, I've
It's
been
a good one. But if anyone wants to take the idea, I'm not married to it, so it's all yours. You could run with it. Um, Maybe just be like, hey, I watched this weird Instagram live one time, and that's where I got the inspiration to like look at wieners for the rest of my career. So it sounds like Ben's gonna make a daguerreotype. I would definitely frame that if you were to mail that, Ben.
It would have to be
I
in
would definitely appreciate that.
the background of like your live feed, just like a dick pic on the wall there.
Absolutely. What is the the dude that does the big camera? Why can't I remember his fucking name? Cameradactyl. Dude, Ben, if you got Cameradactyl to
And
do
Moses,
you one of those big ones for me, I would fucking frame that up in my studio. So if you make that happen, it'll be like the one of the main things you see when you come into my new studio. Yeah, just a big photo of probably like I don't know, whatever, just a big cock on the wall. Why not? Exactly. A 20 by 24 dick pic, that's some like next level shit. Why not? It'll just be in the background of every live after that. And that's how I'll get banned off of Instagram.
like, how did I get banned? Oh, this big giant dick in the background. I see. Okay.
Yeah.
If I may ask a non-related question, and it's not even particularly related to photography either, but I started asking this question like kind of like when COVID started, and it might be weird, it might not have a response right away, but I always ask people, especially before I sign off, because it is getting late for me in Ontario, um, what is something that made you smile in the recent past? It could be something small, it could be something big, it could be as simple as a coffee that you made. Um, I'll start. Ironically, it is related to film. I found a roll of 200. Um, so what I do is like I'll take pictures or I'll give like some of my point and shoots to different people, and then I'll roll it back, and then in the darkness of my washroom, I'll put it in another camera, and then advance the frames to the next one. So, anyways, I had a roll that was half done, and I thought I had lost it because it dropped out of my pocket. Turns out it was behind the fridge when I went to clean it. So that was my little moment of happiness I got in the recent past. So I just wanted to see if you guys had anything interesting.
Mine's probably pretty lame because running my lab, an individual had a completely full roll in their camera that they didn't hit the rewind button and proceeded on rewind the whole film. So when I, got the film out of the canister, there was no sprocket holes whatsoever. It was just the the frames and negative, which I thought was when you reel your film back, and it feels like you have a fish on the line, you're definitely not doing it right. So
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, mine's not film related at all. I watched a TikTok where this dude was farting in his office and he was like destroying people with his farts. And people would be like, "This is a place of work." And he would just like blend. This is one guy's like, what? It smells like burning tires. And like that it made me laugh because, I'm still a child and like dick and fart jokes always hit.
but you wait, you'll see this a dick photography business in Bushwick somewhere in New York, probably in like next week.
Bush is a Bushwick. Or you could just call it Bush Wick because like a dick could be like very similar to like a wick. So it's like you're encompassing all markets right there. You just got it. I would be very impressed if someone runs with this idea. I would not be a customer because like I just I've lived with it for like 40 years. I know what it looks like. I don't need to see more of it.
Yeah, bush dick, exactly. Not
Yeah, bush.
bush.
I like that.
Perfect. It's bushes and dicks. It doesn't have to just be swinging dicks, right?
Bush pick. I like that one too. You can just make some sure straight out of bush dick.
Anyway, well,
Someone's got to make this happen now.
yeah, it was great chatting with you guys. It's very late here on the East Coast, 1:20, and I got to get into the
Oh
shop.
yeah, shit.
Develop.
Yeah,
That is late there.
it
Well,
is.
thank you guys for joining me on this impromptu New Year's business. Looking forward to seeing everyone in 2022 and straight out of bush dick. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And stay safe out there. Don't get the Omicron. Don't be a dick. And I have an outro song now too.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna throw that one on, and we'll wrap this up. So thanks for hanging out with me. This is done by my buddy Mocha Only, who's a rapper here in Vancouver. So big thanks to him. Get your bush dick merch from the Instagram 2022. It's gonna be dropping hot. So I appreciate you guys.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, I appreciate you guys too, and have a happy New Year, and all the best to everyone. So, cheers, everyone. All right, bye.